Welcome to the Starter Girls Podcast, your ultimate source of inspiration and empowerment. We're here to help women succeed in every area of their lives: career, money, relationships, and health and well-being, while celebrating the remarkable journeys of individuals from all walks of life who've achieved amazing things. Whether you're looking to supercharge your career, build financial independence, nurture meaningful relationships, or enhance your overall well-being, the Starter Girls Podcast is here to guide you. Join us as we explore the journeys of those who dare to dream big and achieve greatness. I'm your host, Jennifer Loading, and welcome to this episode. Welcome to another episode of the Starter Girls Podcast. Wherever you are tuning in today, we are thrilled to have you, and we've got another fabulous guest coming on today. So excited to chat with him. Just to give you, I guess, a little background of who he is before we welcome him on. So our guest today is living proof that the biggest transformations come from within. He's someone who's conquered personal struggles, turned them into incredible achievements, and now dedicates his life to helping others do the same. Whether it's in business, health, or relationships, he's mastered the art of thriving under pressure. So if you're ready to hear about his story and all the cool stuff he's doing, you're going to want to stick around and listen to this. But before we welcome him on, I do need to do a quick shout out to our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Walt Mills Productions. Need to add excitement to your YouTube videos or some expert hands for editing? Look no further. Walt Mills is the solution you've been searching for. Walt is not only your go-to guy for spicing up content, he's the force behind a thriving film production company with numerous titles in the pipeline. Always on the lookout for raw talent, Walt is eager to collaborate on film and internet productions. With a background deeply rooted in entertainment and promotion, Walt Mills leverages years of skills to give you the spotlight you deserve. Want to learn more about Walt and his work? Head on over to waltmillsproductions.net and let your content shine. All right. And with that, we're ready to bring our guest on today. So joining me today is Drewbie Wilson, a man who's taken life's toughest challenges and turned them into a remarkable success story. From losing over 100 pounds by transforming his mindset to building a 7-figure sales empire, Drewbie's journey is a masterclass in resilience and determination. He's a best-selling author and a brand builder and a true advocate for personal growth, both in business and life. So Drewbie, welcome to the show. So excited to have you here today.
Jennifer, thank you so much for that very interesting opening. You know, it's so weird when you hear all these fun things about yourself, and ultimately my biggest goal today is to first thank you for the time to be here and thank the listener for investing a little of their time to be with us, because you're going to hear me say this a lot, but time is your most valuable asset. So if you spend a little with us today, I'm very appreciative of it.
Yeah. Well, just to give you a little background about these whole bio things I do. So I don't know if I shared with you when we talked off camera, my background was 20 plus years in Mary Kay. And so I was in leadership. And so a lot of what we would do when we would, recognize people coming on stage for awards, achievements, we always had to have these accolades. And I find it so interesting because when I first started doing this podcast, I would ask people, I'm like, hey, I need your bio. And people are like, I have a resume. And I'm like, just give me your resume. I'll figure out the bio. Just give me the resume. Because I was so used to us always having to have that accolade sheet of the things we did. And you would hear these great introductions. But to your point about listening to it, I think there's something powerful when we're sitting on the other side and we hear somebody say these things about us. Because for us, we're so used to that. We did it, right? Like we did these things and it's part of who we are. But when we hear somebody else say it, we go, wow, that's pretty cool. I did that,
I always tell people, especially when it comes to personal branding, your struggle is your story, and your story is ultimately what people want to hear. They don't care about your sales pitch. They don't care about the product and all its fancy widgets and all. What's the story? If I can buy in emotionally, I most of the time have already sold myself long before we get to that point. So to me, I really believe that sharing your story and putting that struggle out there, being a little bit vulnerable, is what creates a very high level of trust. And if you know anything about sales, know, like, and trust is the most pivotal 3 things when it comes to getting to that point. So if you can build trust quickly, why not?
Yeah, it's good that you're saying that. And I want to talk about your story and kind of what you're doing. But before I want to kind of add to your point there, I'm in a mastermind. I feel like I've had mentors like my entire entrepreneurial career, but I joined this mastermind. And I had built out this really big high ticket course. And I'm like, okay, so who is this for? Right? This is the person like me, but I'm thinking, okay, we got to backpedal that because a person like me wasn't me 10 years ago. That was a different person. Right? So I joined this mastermind group really to understand how to market that. And to your point, it's funny because I was trying to build out like the sales pitch of this. And she kept saying, nobody cares about what you're going to do. They just want to know how you're going to help them, give them what they want. They don't need all that. This is holistic success. And this is all the widgets and the things you're going to do and the hacks. They want to know the end result, give them the end result. And they want to know your story. They want to know who you are, your brand, who you are as a person, and how you're going to help them. And so to your point, yes, absolutely. It makes sense. And it's something I had to really sit down and go, okay, like who's that ideal client? What am I trying to do with that ideal client? What's their pain points? What am I trying to solve? Nobody cares how I go about doing it.
I've done a lot of psychological training from a marketing perspective because to me, sales, and I say this humbly, is relatively simple. It's us who complicates it as the professional. But to me, it's the marketing aspect of, am I in the right room with the right people having the right conversation? And what I've learned is that when you're breaking down anything for anyone, they need to know why first. Because 25% of the world is why people. And if you don't tell them why, they immediately disconnect. And then they need to know what second. And if you don't tell them what, the other 25% are what people. So if you don't do why, what first, you've lost half of your audience.
Yeah.
And then you can get into the how and some of the other stuff. But the real secret of this is, why do they need to know it's important? And what is it that they need to make sure they're focused on?
Yeah, that's good. Thanks for sharing that. Well, I want to jump in. We may end up coming back to that because I think that's such a huge point, and it really leads into like the branding and how we're putting ourselves out there and all that good stuff. So we may come back into that in a minute, but I want to talk a little bit about you and your journey because you've had such a remarkable journey. I mean, just even from the weight loss transformation to your business, all of these things. So let's start off first. I want to talk about your business. Tell us a little bit about you as the entrepreneur, what you're doing, kind of your story. Like, how are you helping your clients? What do they need to know about you?
Jennifer, thank you. And I'm going to give you the too long didn't read version. But for those of you who like the longer reading version, I've written 4 books. They're on Amazon. Go grab them. Like, there's a lot of stuff. I have a podcast, all that. But the short version is, I grew up in the streets selling dope. As I got older, I realized I didn't want to end up dead or in prison because I met a beautiful lady who became my wife. We had a kid, and I went to selling insurance. And I sold insurance for a while, and I got pretty good at that. But I got to that point where I was one of the top producers, and it was like, hey, what do I got to do to make more money? Well, logically, I can either go and try to start my own business. And at 23 years old with a new wife and a baby, that didn't make a lot of sense. So I was like, okay, I'm a sales guy. I'm going to go learn marketing, because if I get more leads, I'll sell more stuff. I'll make more money. Brilliant, right? And so I went online like you. I joined a mastermind and I paid a bunch of money to learn how to do marketing, and I had some success with it. And so much success that other people in my market started calling me and going, hey, you're making more than all of us and already were. What are you doing, and is it legal? Because a lot of times people want to question, if you're making more than them or doing something successfully, are you doing it legally or illegally? Thankfully for me, I was doing it legally because I'd already played in that game of illegal, and I didn't want to go back. Funny enough, I started taking on clients and doing marketing for them, and the one thing that I was really good at was my job. They, unfortunately, did not want to pick up the phone and do their job and call those damn leads.
Yeah.
And so I started going through the churn and burn of clients and them not wanting to work and making the excuses, and I was like, this is not a business I want to stay in long term. And amongst my marketing buddies, I had this funny joke of like, man, if these guys would just call the damn leads, they'd make money. And I told them, I'm going to put that on a t-shirt someday and sell it. And we all laughed about how silly of a joke it was that it would never work. But my goofy ass went and trademarked it anyways, because I thought someday this is going to be my mission. And fast forward 5 years building someone else's business, doing tens of millions of dollars with them and helping them put them into place. December of 2023 rolls around and I get to a point where we've built the business so successfully that I don't have the freedom of entrepreneurship that I originally went into it to start with. And it was no longer, hey, you can travel, you can go and do and work from home and be wherever you want. It was, hey, we need you in the office 8 to 6, Monday through Friday, going to be some weekends, blah, blah, blah. And I said, that's not what I want. And so I went all in December 2023. I walked away from the $500,000 a year salary. We sold our big house in Texas, and my family and I moved into a fifth wheel RV so that we could build this brand of Call the Damn Leads, because that's the one thing we know, that anyone can go and build their own business and be successful if they're willing to do the work. And Call the Damn Leads is really just a mantra for that. So it's an e-commerce business to get people excited with keychains and wristbands and all that. But more than that, we truly help people build a system and a process to build a sustainable life of success.
Yeah, this is such a great story. First of all, I'm in Texas. I don't know where you guys came
We
from.
were out of Dallas.
Okay, that's right. I'm in the Dallas. I'm north. I'm in North Carrollton. So Dallas
Okay.
suburbs. So yeah, you're from there. Okay, so I love this story, and I've known several people. I've had a couple of them even come on the show that have kind of done something similar, where they like sold everything, went into the RV to kind of rebuild this, different kind of, like, I guess, like sort of like a nomad kind of thing. Like you can take it out of the office, right? And I think that's kind of where we are now, that a lot of us are able to kind of do that. So I think that the story is remarkable. But I will also say something about, I went on your site and looked up because I wanted to get familiar with, the products and what you guys got going. And I love this. And I may have shared with you, back this up first. Your success in the insurance was because you were making those calls. That's why you were making those calls. Okay. I will tell you, when I first started doing Mary Kay in the very beginning, this was way back, the late 90s, when we still had the caller, they couldn't, like, we could still get the phone list. Like, we could still call people on a landline because we had phone lists, right? And I told people for years I did cold calls. I called people. I got on the phone, and that's how I got successful in what I was doing, because I would get on the phone and I'd make the calls. And I hated it, but I did it. And I did it. So really, I think it comes down to, like what you're talking about, is following up with these people. It's just doing that work that a lot of people don't like to do. They don't like that part of the job. So I think this is just, I love this story, and I like what you guys are doing. And I think it's also intriguing that you kind of made a shift here and sort of have taken what your passion over here and sort of kind of are pursuing that on this end. I like it.
Well, I feel like with a Starter Girls podcast title, it makes sense to really lean in on that. It doesn't matter where you are in your journey right now. It doesn't matter where you were in your journey in the past.
Right.
If there is some place that you would like to be in the future, it is 100% up to you to make that your reality. And that's going to require making new decisions and taking new action. And sometimes it's going to be getting uncomfortable. And, like, I'm just very blessed that I was dumb enough to believe that if I trusted the process, that these people who had the life that I wanted said, if you just do this, you'll get the same thing. It worked. And that, to me, is why I get on a podcast like this, and why I share the stories, and why I talk about being vulnerable, because the biggest thing I attribute my success to is that along the way, as I learned, I just went back and told other people about it. I was like, hey, this is what I'm doing, and this is what's working, and you're seeing the results. And a lot of times, as humans, we don't see the immediate result, which is why we are so quick to jump and pivot, and shiny object syndrome with entrepreneurs of like, oh, I'm going to go and do this thing. And they do that for 6 months, and they're like, well, I'm going to go and do this thing instead, because they had success right away, because there's always excitement. But when that excitement dies off, it's, are you getting up every day and doing the thing that you need to do? You're not. That's why you're not getting the result that you want.
And interesting that you brought up Starter Girls. I don't know if I shared this with you. When we originally launched Starter Girls 5 years ago, the tagline basically was, if you're starting a business, a brand, or a movement. That's what it was about in the initial beginning. And I know I shared with you that this show has taken so many twists and turns, because it started out as a female-led podcast, and then it wasn't a female-led podcast. Then it kind of migrated back. Now I've just blended it. I'm like, look, hey, dudes can be on it too, because we're all starting something, and we all need empowerment, and we all need to focus on all these 4 domains in our life. And so I love that you're talking about that, because I do think that there's so much to be said about this starting something. There's a lot. It's taking different choices, but it's also embracing where you're at in your journey and following your passion. Because I think sometimes too, we get so lasered in on that we have to go down this path because of maybe age, or because we studied this in school, or this is where we think we need to be, right? But then there's this calling, this something over here that's saying, I don't want to be doing that. I want to be doing something different, right? And I think there's something remarkable when you take that. I'm not saying you were in a position where you could say, which I think is remarkable, hey, we can let this go. We're going to downsize. We're going to do this, and we're going to follow this passion, But I think a lot of times, too, people think they can't start something because they got to get rid of. And I say, no.
I want to pause you for a second, though, Jennifer, and I don't mean to do this, but I want the listener to understand that it's October 2024 when we're recording this.
Yeah.
So I walked away from the $500,000 a year in December of 2023. When I went to that company in 2019, so the year of 2018 when I filed my taxes, I made $36,000. That was my whole gross. I made $36,000 in 2018. So I had already done the restart. I had already achieved the thing that I thought was the greatest I would ever get to. And so it does not, that's why I say it doesn't matter where you are. You might feel like I have to stay here because of X or Y or Z I promise you, it's scary. It's hard. Imagine walking away from what you was 10 times the amount of money you'd ever made in your life. And it was pretty much hey man, just stay the course and this is it. People can change. You can change. You can have whatever you want. But the truth is, you can't let other people's version of success prevent you from achieving your version. Because Jennifer, if you talk to me about my version, it's going to be different than yours. We are different people. There may be similarities, but it's going to be wildly different. And if you went and talked to our parents and said, hey, when they were born, what did you think they would do? And what was your perspective or version of success? What were they going to live out to be? It would be so incredibly crazy, wild, off the kilt of what we're doing now that it wouldn't even make sense. So why do so many people get stuck or allow the perspective of what other people think success should look like, when the truth is they don't pay your bills, they don't wake up next to you in the middle of the night, and ultimately when things go south, they're going to be worried about themselves. So you need to worry about you. I promise that's the only thing that matters.
Well, and that goes back to, I would say to keeping the right people in your circle, who you're taking advice from, which is, I always think is important. When I work with my clients, it's this is a conversation that comes up a lot because you're right. There are a lot of people that the opinions of others weigh heavily on their decisions and their thought process. I think there's something liberating when you can get free from that. It's taken me a long time to get in that place where, I honestly, I have to think about this all the time. I mean, if you were having to plug into a position, you had a high salary, but you hate the drive because you're going across the Dallas traffic, or I always joke.
The North Dallas Tollway and George Bush. And
but I joke about this because I get up at 5. I don't know how you are, but I'm up at 5 a.m. pretty much every day of the week. I just wake up I am an early riser. I was not like that my whole life. I was a night out for many, many years. When I had kids, things changed. It may have even been way after I had kids before I started doing that. But long story short, I'm up every day, but I joke because I don't really want to have to be anywhere before 10 a.m. And it's not because I'm sitting in here eating bonbons like people think. It's because I work out. I like to drink my green tea, like to eat my breakfast, want to pet my pets, would like to read my book, would like to have my Jennifer downtime. And whenever it gets encroached upon, people invade that space, I am not a happy person. So
hold on though, because I think we can. There's a nuance to this because I can relate, having driven through Dallas traffic. I lived in Plano.
Entrepreneurs, are you ready to level up your leadership skills? Tune in now for an exclusive offer designed just for you.
This is my time.
Did you know 63% of consumers prefer businesses aligned with their values? Recognizing your core values isn't just vital for business growth, it's the bedrock of effective leadership. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or an aspiring creator, identifying your core values is a key step in constructing the framework of a successful leader, enabling you to lead authentically, expand your business, and live life on your terms.
I never settled on play, putting the kettle to flame. I go 100 all day, foot on the pedal, no brakes. 10, 9, paid all my dues, waited in line. 8, 7.
Are you ready to access tools to kickstart your leadership journey? Unlock a treasure trove of insights and get your free resources at www.linktree/JenniferLoading. Take that crucial first step toward realizing your leadership aspirations and elevate your leadership game today.
Ready to shine.
Sure.
And my office was 11 miles away off of the tollway. So when we moved down there during COVID, I could leave my house and get to the office in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Once everything went back to normal, that same exact drive went from a 15-minute drive to a 45-minute drive if I left at the same time.
Yeah.
If I waited 1 hour,
Right.
and instead of going at 7:15, I went at 8:15 or whatever it was still a 20-minute drive. And so I think people are mistakenly understanding that they can adjust their schedule and actually get more of their time back if they were more intentional in understanding about how the flow of these other variables in their life work. And this is why a lot of the clients that I work with, like the first thing we do is say, okay, what is your time worth? First and foremost, most people don't have any idea. They're so stuck in this, I don't know, I make $20 an hour, $15 an hour, whatever that is. That's their mentality of their time's worth. But Jennifer, if you only had 24 hours left to live and I said, here's $25, I need you for an hour, would you come with me? If you know that if that were the case and you had to trade one of your last 24 hours for the amount of money you're currently making every hour, and it makes you feel bad, why do you keep trading your time for that value?
Right. It's true. Well, and that was my point about having to get back to the main picture here that I was trying to paint, is that you valuing your time. And I do. And it's funny, even, when I'm working with clients, I mean, especially specifically women, because I think women have a lot of issues around self-worth and money. You have to look at that and say, and I will do that with a job. If I think something is not going to fit with me, and I'm starting to think this is going to be a lot of work for the amount I'm charging for this, do I really want to deal with this? Perspective. So thanks for pointing that out, because it's true. So
you're welcome.
Good
And
stuff.
you got to have the I don't really want to do this job price, make it
Yeah.
30-40% more than you would normally charge. And if they pay it, then that's a tax to yourself for I didn't want to do it, but I'm making a little extra, so I'm going to make it worth my
to
time.
burn through it. Exactly. To
Yep.
burn through it. Yes. Make it worth it, right? Make it worth the
That's
pain
it.
if you want it. Yes. Yes. No, this is good conversation. Okay, Drewbie. So you lost weight. I want to talk about this really quick, because another thing. So you've done, what I love about your story, there's a lot to this whole idea that you went from this other lifestyle to this. So you've done these remarkable things, not only just in business, but you had this 100-pound weight loss journey. I looked at your stuff. Wow. Incredible. I mean, that is stuff. Do you know how many people, now I work out every day. I haven't always been this thin, but I also do. I'm like a meat eater. I'm a carnivore person. So I eat a lot of meat, and it's not because of weight. It's because of my health. I have to, because I have a chronic condition. Weight loss is a big thing for a lot of people. But I like, in your bio when I was reading, the mindset, because I think anything we do in life, whether it comes to, I'm also a former marathon runner, so I think all of this stuff really comes down to one thing. What's in there? It's the mindset. And I used to joke about this. I would tell people because we used to, when I say from about 2014 to about 2018, when we were running a lot, and I'm talking every weekend, we were probably running. We'd run a half marathon on a Saturday, maybe do a 5K on Sunday. And you would laugh at this, because I'd go out to run this half marathon on a Saturday and I'd be like, I got this. Get out there and I'm fine. I'd go to do the 5K the next morning and I'm like, I can't do this. It was all mindset. Physically, I was trained for both, but the mindset would make such a difference. And I think that is for everything. So I want to talk about this a little bit, because I can just tell that you're this mindset is a really strong attribute for you.
Thank you. So I will preface, not only have I lost 100 pounds in my life, I've done it twice. I lost it and I put it all back on and then lost it again. And so body dysmorphia is very much a real thing. And if it's something that you struggle with, understand you're not alone, and that it is something you will continue to deal with and work through your whole life. Because at my biggest, 315 pounds at 6 foot 2 inches, I'm like 6'1", but I say 6'2", because we always claim a little extra. 315 pounds, very, very unhappy. At my smallest, when I was working out 2 times a day, I did 75 hard, I did all those stupid things to really go crazy, other than taking weight loss drugs or going on crazy fad diets. I counted macros and calories, but I don't consider that to be a crazy fad diet. I got to 183 pounds at 35 years old. That was the smallest I'd been since I was in high school, probably maybe even junior high, to be honest with you. Like, I was 160 pounds in, like, freshman year. I've been a big boy my whole life. But I tell you what, at 183 pounds, my smallest, most fit in the actual weight, I was, quote, healthy at the doctor, I also hated how I looked. And so it is a battle that I have dealt with my whole life. Now, how did I decide at my largest that I was going to make this decision to go and change? Well, I wasn't getting the attention that I wanted, and I wasn't getting the things in my life. This was before I had met my beautiful wife. I had to lose the weight to get the attention that I wanted. And it all just started with taking a walk
I manage,
and being more intentional
next on
with
the
my
list, and I make sure that they're
calories in,
kept and
calories
looked
out. This
after,
is
and then
basic
any
math.
other time
At
that I
the end of
have
the
can be
day, if
spent
you
on
want
building
to
the
lose
podcast,
weight, there
building a
is
personal
one
brand,
simple
or
formula.
sourcing new
You
clients as
burn
well.
more calories than you take in. That is just health. You cannot argue that. Now, there are nuances to that, because, like, I could just eat 6 Twinkies and get my 2,000 calories for the day and still be losing weight. But that's not healthy either. That's not sustainable. And so to me, when it comes to anyone who wants to start their journey of weight loss, fitness, whatever you want to call it, like, I don't want to put a label on it because everyone's a little different. But if you want to start your journey, the best thing that you can do is take a walk. That is the easiest way for you to get up and be intentional, is to go and take a walk. For me, I was snoozing because I get up at 4 a.m. I started at 5 and I've worked my way back over time. So, like, don't immediately jump to this. But I would be waking up at 5 anyways, and then I would hit snooze until like 6 o'clock. So it's like, why not just get up and go for a walk? And to me, it was 5K a day keeps the doctor away. If I can go and walk a 5K, which is 3.25 miles or something, it would take me about 60 minutes. And I knew that if I could just do that, it would keep me from going to the doctor and feeling like an idiot because I had absolutely let myself go.
Well, and I'm hearing you say the word intentional, which I think is really the key word in all of these areas that we're talking about, because I think
Absolutely.
when we used to talk about, I used to tell my team, what gets tracked gets done. Because when we're paying attention to whether it's numbers and sales, whether it's our weight loss journey, whatever that is, right? When we're actually being intentional about things, we can see where we're at. We can gauge, do we need to go this way or this way? When we have no clue, we don't have a direction to go because we don't know what we're working with. And so I think that's the big thing I'm hearing from you in this, is really about the intentionality of everything, which I think is huge. And congratulations on that weight loss, and congratulations for doing it again, because I know that, this is a hard thing. And I do agree with you on the body dysmorphia. I don't necessarily deal with that, but I do understand that that is an issue. And I think, to your point on all of these things, is that we all have these blocks. I call them blocks, clear, whatever you want to call them, limiting. There are things that they come up for us in different ways, and they manifest in very different ways, right? Like, I talk about food and money being two of the things that I wrestled with for a really long time. And I don't have so much trouble with the food anymore. And the money, I've gotten better with that too, but the way they manifested in my life, and I talk about them independently. With money, I was very risk averse in business, but would not worry about my checkbook balance in my personal life. I didn't pay attention to it. It doesn't get tracked. You don't know what's happening, right? So
At least you don't have to admit
I had
to it.
some debt that I had to work off. And for me, when I released that, it was almost like going through recovery, because it was, for the first time, I actually cleared it up completely and walked away and was like, okay, I did this. I got it clear, And the food thing, and these things, I feel like they always come back from our youth. They were things that we picked up when we were very, very, our lifestyle, whatever we were brought up in. The food thing I joke about, because I do carnivore pretty much now. I do low carb carnivore, so I don't really have trouble with this any longer. But it would be something stupid like getting a thing of Oreos. Like, I did not want to buy a pack of Oreos because I put them in. I couldn't eat one. Like, if once the Oreos would get open, that rip, here they go. Now it's funny, Drewbie, because I might decide to try a bite of an Oreo if somebody has an Oreo, but you're probably not going to see me need more than one Oreo. I don't really crave it. It was a feast or famine mindset. Both of them, the money and the food, come back to a feast or famine mindset. And a lot of that was because I attributed it to the way we were brought up. We never did without, but I always joke that we lived in a feast or famine house. My parents were entrepreneurs, and we had money one day and the next day we didn't. So we didn't know if we were going to have the windows open and we were eating bologna or we were going out to eat the next day, right?
Amen, sister. Come on.
Well, so you get it. that these belief systems that we have, they show up in these weird ways, and like we'll keep doing these behaviors, and like you said, to your point, they don't necessarily always go away. We have to be mindful. We have to pay attention to them so that they don't dominate our life. We can control.
Addiction doesn't stop. You get control of it. And if you talk to anyone who has beat a serious addiction, and it runs rampant in my family, and it runs rampant in me. This is like a very big self-awareness of mine is I am an addictive personality. Now, we can choose the things that we become addicted to. And with all things, moderation is the secret to life. Because you can go way too hard in the gym, and guess what? You're going to get hurt. And you know what you do when you get hurt at the gym and you can't do the thing that you've been using as your blocker for all the other bad things?
Another problem.
Yeah, exactly. It's a hamster wheel. And so I love how you've really focused in on intentionality, because intentionality is the thing. And I want to be intentional with our time today, because respectfully, I'm sure you and I could hang out and we could have so much fun for hours on end. But the truth is, we know that if you're not intentional with your time, you're not going to get where you want in life. So I always tell people, and this is kind of like my big free giveaway, and I charge clients thousands of dollars to go through this process, but like, if you haven't figured out what your time is worth, take all the money that you made last year, main job, side job, maybe you're sharing pictures of your feed on the internet, like I don't care, I'm not judging, but if you're making money, add it all up and divide that number by 2,000. Because if you were average, and you're not, because you're here investing in yourself, learning, growing, wanting to get better, so you're not average, but if you were, you'd work 40 hours a week for 50 weeks a year, and you take a 2-week vacation. That's 2,000 hours worth of work. So if you made $100,000 last year, guess what? Your time's worth $50 an hour. If you made $50,000, your time's worth 25. Do the number, do the math. Because here's what I really want y'all to do over the next week after you've listened to this and you've really gotten clear on like, oh shit, I know for a fact that I'm worth significantly more than that dollar amount per hour. You need to do a time study. Every hour, have an alarm in your phone and take a notepad and just write down all the stuff that you did for that hour. I made phone calls, I sent emails, I scrolled YouTube, whatever, and then just make a little note. Was it productive? Yes or no? Or did it get me closer to my goal? Yes or no? It's real simple. You're going to know. And anyone who can be very honest with themselves that gets through this process is going to get to day 2 or 3 and they're going to be like, Drewbie, I freaking hate you. And also thank you. Because I now see where I'm spending all of the one asset that I cannot get back. And now I can exactly measure why I'm not getting the result that I want on the investment that I've made.
All right, Drewbie, this has been awesome. I want to ask you one last, this is going to be kind of a personal question. You've said a lot today, and I think it's good. I feel like it all it comes together with what your whole message and your brand. But this is a personal question I want to ask you about you. I want to know what you feel like you've learned about yourself in this whole journey up to this point.
What have I learned about myself in this journey? I actually just went to ChatGPT and asked it to analyze this the other day. So if you haven't done that, go in there, because if you've ever used it, it'll analyze all these weird things about you.
Yeah, I love ChatGPT.
Yeah, and that's all. Again, we could sit here and nerd out all day, Jennifer. I'm for certain of it. But if I had to look back at like the biggest awareness that I have for me is that I am a giver to a fault. And so that I have reimagined and changed my life at such a level now that I truly feel like it's my duty to help other people. And I've had to learn to create boundaries, because you can't want something for someone else more than they want it for them. Because then there's resent. Then there's all these other things that start to happen. And that's, again, other conversations, other podcast topics. But ultimately, I had to learn to create boundaries and respect my time, because that's the one thing I can't get back. And so that to me has been kind of my biggest awareness of all things.
And I think this is good, because you pointing out this, and thank you for sharing that, because I think pointing this out right here shows that this is, because I tend to, this is an area that I have to make sure I keep track of, to the boundaries, because I want to help. And my story is completely different than yours, but I feel like I'm in the same position where I've had this life-altering thing that has really changed my life and my health, and it's giving me perspective in what I say is really, how do we help people make more money but give them back their time? That's exactly what my tag, I mean, it's boost your profits and reclaim your time, because that's what we all want. I mean, truly in life, isn't that what we want? We want to be financially okay, and we want to be able to do the things we want to do in life. Spend the time where we want to spend it, whether that's family, friends, I don't know, boating, painting, playing your piano, or putting your podcast together. I don't know, whatever it is. I think we've covered it all here. I love it. And thank you for sharing that, because I think, again, it gets back to showing the real, the real person who you are behind all the call the damn leads. I love it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I appreciate the listener hanging out and listening to me gab for a little while. I know that, I get passionate, I get excited, but again, I'm at a point in my life where I feel it's my duty to share these stories and these struggles, because if one person hears this, then they're going to do something in their life, and they could be the person that goes on to do the thing that makes my son happy, healthier, future, versions of himself. I don't know. It's a butterfly effect, but I just am grateful for the opportunity, and I hope that if someone got something out of this today, they share this episode. Share it with someone they know, share it to their social media, put it out there, tag us if they want to, but share this with someone that you think it could help, because that is the biggest mission for me personally. And Jennifer, I'd imagine you as well, having a show like this. We just want to help people.
Which would be, if our audience wants to get in touch with you, because there may be somebody after listening to this wants to reach out, and who knows, maybe they want to, find out more about you or what you got going on, or maybe they want to connect with you in some way that you might impart some more wisdom on them. Where do you want us to send them?
Easiest thing is callthedamnleads.com. That's our store. We've got books, podcasts, blogs. I mean, whatever your preferred content type is, I've got it, because I know it's not about me. It's about you and what you like. And more than anything, again, share this episode and tag us, because that'll tell me, hey, I listened to this episode and I got this one thing out of it. That means a lot to me. I know it means a lot to Jennifer, because if you do that, you're going to see that we're on every social media platform out there, and we'll find you, because that's what we do is sales. So we'll follow up, we'll call you, we'll have a conversation, and if I can point them in the right direction, I'll certainly be happy to do that.
Awesome. We'll make sure too, when the show notes go out, we'll get the website in there so they know where to find you too.
Awesome.
It's been awesome, Drewbie. Thank you so much. I know we could spend time here forever, but I know your time is valuable, and so is mine, and we all got places to be on this Monday. So I appreciate you, and it's fun chatting with you. Love the energy.
You too, Jennifer. Take care.
Awesome. All right. And to our audience, of course, if you enjoy the show, we hope that you found something inspiring out there. A lot of energy in this one today, but go find us on whatever your platform is. Hit the like, subscribe button, leave a comment, whatever works for you. And as I always say, in order to live the extraordinary, you must start. And every start begins with a decision. You guys take care, be safe, and be kind to one another. We will see you next time.